Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Scarab. The Scarab is a heavy assault vehicle used by the Covenant, and it just looks so awesome every time it shows up. We also have different variants of the Scarab. The most common one is the one we see from Halo 3 and ODST, but then of course we have the Proto Scarab from Halo 2, and then there's also the Banished Scarab that we get to see in Halo Wars 2. Regardless on the variant, the Scarab has got to be one of the coolest looking vehicles in Halo history. Seeing this giant mechanical spider creature climbing over different types of terrain, dropping down in front of you, slowly revealing itself from below, I think it's completely justified for any regular Marine out there to see a Scarab approaching them and the first thought is to run away. The standard weapon of the Scarab is of course the powerful plasma beam from the front, as well as that the Scarab also has extra plasma, or in the Banished Scarab's case, missile power to deal with those pesky air vehicles. And as if that wasn't enough, you also have to worry about the various soldiers that are on the Scarab manning the turrets or just shooting with whatever they have in their hands at their enemies as well. It's always a sight to behold, seeing the Scarab in a mission. And in my opinion, it's one of the most enjoyable things to do when playing Halo, fighting and eventually defeating a Scarab. It's awesome, it's fun. It's also been nearly 20 years since we've had the pleasure of fighting a Scarab in a mainline Halo game. I hate to be the buzzkill here, but yes, we haven't actually had the pleasure of fighting a Scarab since Halo 3 ODST. If it wasn't for other games like Halo Wars, the last time we would have seen a Scarab, let alone get to fight one, would have been Halo 3 ODST and Halo Reach, Bungie's last Halo game. Realizing this and saying it out loud makes me very sad, because I love the Scarab. I think it's awesome, if I haven't already made that clear. So the first time we see a Scarab in action is during the mission Outskirts. In the opening cutscene we see it shoot down multiple pelicans, and we briefly see it firing its plasma beam again during the mission. Knowing how to abuse the physics or simply using the acrophobia skull, you can actually fly out of the hole you see here, and then you can get a closer look at the Scarab before it despawns. During the next mission is when we actually get to fight the Scarab. We see it taking a nice stroll through the city, minding its own business, maybe destroying a tank or some marines here and there. But finally, at the end of the mission, we get the opportunity to take it down ourselves. And of course, this is also the mission where we can get our hands on our own Scarab gun. A really cool Easter egg left by Bungie. And even though you can do it a lot easier these days with the acrophobia skull, I decided to do it the old-fashioned way, with luring the Banshee through the tunnels and hijacking it just at the right time so you can fly up and get the Scarab gun that way. In the final mission of Halo 2, The Great Journey, after saving him, Sergeant Johnson takes control of a Scarab. Johnson's aim doesn't seem to be the best with the Scarab, but to be fair, this is probably the first time he's actually piloting one of these things. Definitely would have been embarrassing if he's just like, okay, stay out of the way, Arbiter, I'm about to open the door now, and he just misses every shot. Thanks to the power of the MCC workshop on Steam, I'm able to experience Halo 2 uncut, essentially the beta version of Halo 2 that had a bunch of cut concepts and cut ideas that we didn't get to see from the original release of the game. And in this version of the game, as you can see, there were supposed to be two Scarabs here during this mission and the mission before it for the Arbiter, where we just see the two Scarabs patrolling the beach. When Johnson's making his way to this area with his Scarab, you're supposed to collect a bomb and plant it in the Scarabs to destroy them, or at least one of them. I planted the bomb in one Scarab, disabling that one, but the other one just decided to shut down? I don't know what happened here. In Halo 3 we have multiple encounters with a Scarab. We have to deal with one during the storm, then one shows up on the Ark, and finally two Scarabs, I repeat, two Scarabs on the Covenant. This is where I think a lot of people, myself included, really fell in love with the Scarab, both just as a vehicle and as a somewhat boss fight to take down during a mission. The fights against these four Scarabs are some of my favourite moments from Halo 3's campaign. It's always enjoyable. When you fight the Scarabs though, make sure to watch out for their legs. And remember, sometimes it's okay to take your time. There's no rush. We're not all speedrunners here. There's some funny glitches you can have with the Scarab on the Ark. For starters, you could kill it early, as you can see in this footage. A well-placed jump, or again, with the use of acrophobia, you can hop on the Scarab when it first shows up. And what it's supposed to do is exit the map sink through the map and then despawn. But if you manage to get on top of the Scarab and hold on to one of the turrets, the Scarab will try to sink down, but then with you on it, it'll pop itself back up on the surface. You can then destroy the Scarab like usual, proceed through the level like usual, but when you get to the point where the Scarab is supposed to show up again, it might look a little bit off. This is the undead Scarab. Half destroyed, can't do anything to attack the player. The AI seems to just shut down after it finishes its animation of jumping down off the building. It's a cool looking glitch. Just keep in mind that if you do it, you're pretty much soft locked. So your only option now is to either restart from a checkpoint or just restart the whole mission. The other glitch I have a lot of fun doing, although it can be annoying sometimes to pull off, is the flying Scarab glitch. There's a few steps to this, and I kind of jump over one that I was supposed to do beforehand, but the basic idea is that you get a grav lift, a chopper, go back on yourself and boost up the mountain on the right side, and then eventually you'll be able to get past the barrier and make your way to where I am now. The step I skipped was me not killing the other NPCs. Everyone else needs to be dead in order for the Scarab to be focused on just you. Anyway, eventually, and I really do mean eventually, it took me about 30 minutes to get this done for this video. While trying to get to you, the Scarab will end up clipping through this wall, and as it's moving its legs, you'll see as it will just climb up higher and higher and higher until it gets above the barrier that is, well, above you, and then the Scarab will just be floating. It can't do much when it's like this, but it can still be aggressive and attack the player, so keep that in mind if you ever perform this glitch. Before moving on to the next game, we also get to see a Scarab, I think in the process of being built, in the multiplayer map Assembly. In Halo 3 ODST you only have one encounter with the Scarab, and even then it's optional. You can try to avoid it, the keyword is try, but where's the fun in that? In my opinion, the Scarab is part of the mission. You have to fight it, or at least try to. I say that because I did a live stream of Halo ODST where the game loaded the final cutscene and ended the mission before I even defeated the Scarab. I seriously don't know how this happened. Right. Alright, Scarab, let's go. I can't resist a fight against the Scarab. Never mind, I'm not fighting the Scarab. Okay, what the fuck happened? The end cutscene triggered. What? The final mission of the game also has a few Scarab appearances, however you don't get to fight it. You see a few pop up from the ocean, like the one from Halo 2, just going for a lovely stroll through the sea. And then a third Scarab appears later in the mission, but again you don't get to fight it. It just shows up, attacks Stare and the engineer, and then just leaves. I think we have already reached the point where the Scarab is starting to lose its presence in these games. Because the next game we're talking about, the Scarab, is in Halo Reach, and while it does have a fair amount of appearances in Halo Reach, in fact the Scarab has appeared more times in Halo Reach than any other Halo game, we never get to fight it. Okay, so in Tip of the Spear you have 3 Scarabs you can see fighting in the distance. After destroying the first anti-air gun in the mission, longswords will fly by and blow the 3 Scarabs to pieces. During the opening cutscene of Long Night of Solace, we get to see the legs of this Scarab just passing through. And then, during the Pillar of Autumn, 2 Scarabs drop in early on in the mission, but we are encouraged to just ignore them. Again, watch out for the legs. Either these ones will send you flying, or they'll get you stuck in some kind of gravity field. If you do manage to board one of these 2 Scarabs, you can go to the back to see it has its core, just like in Halo 3. But of course, nothing happens if you destroy it. And then there's the cutscene with this Scarab, with Carter taking it down with the Pelican. Finally, you have 2 more Scarabs out in the distance at the end of Pillar of Autumn. I never realised this until I went to get footage for this video, but they actually do drop in from the sky, just like the 2 Scarabs, I repeat 2 Scarabs from Halo 3. Okay, so even up to just Halo Reach, we've already seen a decline in the Scarab's usage, I guess we could say. We got to fight one in Halo 2, we got to fight multiple Scarabs in Halo 3, we got to fight at least one in ODST, and it made a few more appearances in the last mission. Halo Reach had a lot of Scarab appearances, but we never get to fight them. So that's it for the Bungie games. What about the 343 games? Halo 4? No Scarabs. Halo 5? Scarabs? Never heard of them. Halo Infinite? Oh please. As if the game could handle a Scarab spawning in the campaign. Fortunately, we have other games, such as Halo Wars. In the first game, we actually get to come across another variant of a Scarab called the Super Scarab. It's only half built during the mission that you fire it in, but even though it's stationary, it's much bigger and much more powerful than even a regular Scarab. In this mission, you're supposed to disable these power node things that will slow down the head of the Scarab so that you can have a better chance of making your way to said Scarab and actually taking it down. So of course there's an achievement in this mission where you defeat the Super Scarab without taking out any of the nodes. Eventually it will destroy the wall in front of your base and then the base itself. Or at least it tries to do that. If you're like me, then maybe you can get lucky and the Super Scarab's beam can get a little bit disjointed.
For a second there, I thought the Scarab was about to blast your Marine squadron there. I was just thinking, well, fuck those guys in particular.
It sucks for that Warhawk, but you see what's going on here?
What is the Scarab shooting at?
I don't know. The Scarab appears in 2 more missions in the campaign of Halo Wars. In Beachhead, you get the option to hijack a Scarab, which is really cool. We don't get to do it in the FPS titles, but Halo Wars somewhat makes up for that, I guess. Something I learned playing this game with my friend Liam a few years ago. Even if player 2 hijacks the Scarab, player 1 will be given control over it. It was a pretty funny moment when that happened during our playthrough.
No, don't blow it up. Get in. Yes! Oh, what?
It gave it to
My
me.
Spartan. But
Later in the same mission, we also have to fight another Scarab, so we get a Scarab on Scarab battle, which is always fun as well. And then in the final mission, we also have a Scarab roaming about. Sometimes it stays stationary, other times it just has a little wander around the map. And at least with my experience, it also could get stuck if there's a Flood AI right in front of it trying to melee it to death. Of course, the Scarab is also available in multiplayer mode, when you're playing as one of the 3 Covenant leaders. It obviously costs a lot of resources, but if you can get to that point, the Scarab is very rewarding and fun to play with. One of my favourite mods for Halo Wars is the Leader Overhaul mod, that adds a bunch of extra units and leaders to the game, and one of the extra units you're given is the Scarab from Halo 2, which is really fun to use. It's a bit slower than the regular Scarab, and the plasma beam can't shoot consistently, but the firepower more than makes up for that. As for Halo Wars 2, this is where we get to have some fun with the Banished Scarab, which, by the way, real quick, while I love the Scarab in general, the Banished Scarab is just gorgeous. I love its design so much. It looks so amazing, especially in motion. I'd give anything to see this officially in any other Halo game other than just Wars 2. Anyway, the Banished Scarab appears in the mission From the Deep, literally from the deep. It comes out from the ocean. Really good entrance for a Scarab, I must say. In a later mission, we get to hijack a Scarab once again. Jerome is very excited to do so. Can't blame the man for being excited to take control of a Scarab. And then in the final mission of the main campaign, we have to fight not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Scarabs. One makes an appearance on its own, we take that one out, but then when we get to the last few minutes of the mission, 3 more come into attack at the same time. So I hope you've got plenty of units still running about. Make sure your Spartans are fully healed. Drop in an extra turret or some bombs if you have to. The Banished Scarab gets even more love in this game thanks to Halo Wars 2 DLC, Awakening the Nightmare. A really fun DLC campaign where we get to actually control the Banish. During the first mission of this DLC campaign, we have to escort a Scarab throughout the level, protecting it from sentinel attacks. Best thing to do is to have engineers, banshees, reavers constantly hugging the Scarab. Just like the first game, you can also spawn a Scarab in the multiplayer mode as well. And just like in Halo Wars 1, being able to save up the resources to get a Scarab is very rewarding and satisfying in this game. We also get to see the same Scarab from Halo 2, although it's the Halo 3 model, in Halo Spartan Strike. So now that we have gone over the Halo games that does feature a Scarab, what about the other Halo games? This is where the fun begins, at least for me. I hope you guys enjoy this part of the video especially, because I think it's definitely the most interesting part of the discussion of the Scarab. If it was completely up to me, where would I insert a Scarab in the Halo games that didn't feature one? So hypothetically speaking, if the Scarab was introduced back in Halo Combat Evolved, where would it show up? I think the most logical mission for a Scarab to appear in Combat Evolved would have been Assault on the Control Room, or alternatively 2 Betrayals. So the same mission either way, just pick your poison. Maybe it would be a bit much for the player to get the tank and then immediately have to fight a Scarab after that, but my idea would be basically that. You're introduced to the tank, you'll make your way through the level, but then instead of it being turrets, wraiths and the hunters, you then have a Scarab that's spawned in. Alternatively, during 2 Betrayals, as you're making your way through near the end of the level, maybe that's where a Scarab could appear, dealing with not only you as Master Chief, but also the Flood. So what about the 343 games? Halo 4. If we were to have a Scarab in Halo 4, I think the most logical mission where it could have made an appearance would have been in Reclaimer. The same mission where we get to be introduced to the Mammoth. Imagine a Scarab showing up in this mission, fighting the Mammoth. I think that would look pretty cool. Maybe you use the target designator to end the Scarab with the cannon of the Mammoth. Maybe the Scarab shows up early in the mission to attack, but then the Mammoth shoots its cannon at the Scarab, damaging it so it retreats. So then later in the mission it shows up and manages to do what we see happen with the Lich Covenant ship, using the plasma beam to disable the cannon of the Mammoth, and that's when you're forced to make your way to the Scarab yourself to take it out the old-fashioned way. As for Halo 5, honestly I think the very first mission of the game could have featured a Scarab. If not as a boss fight to actually take down, at the very least maybe you see the Scarab just roaming around in the background fighting the Prometheans. And then when it comes to actually fighting a Scarab, maybe one could show up during the final mission. Now let's talk about Halo Infinite. I guess you could add the fact that we don't get a chance to fight a Scarab in this game on the list of the many missed opportunities this game had. In my opinion, a banished Scarab in Halo Infinite didn't even have to be a mission. Imagine if you were just exploring the Halo ring, or making your way from one mission to the other, or deciding to divert from the main path and again just exploring the ring and maybe doing some side stuff. And then all of a sudden, in the distance, you just see a banished Scarab just wandering around the area. You could either choose to ignore it, or go closer towards it and confront this banished Scarab. Maybe it didn't even have to be in the campaign. Maybe the Scarab, dare I say it, could have appeared in a multiplayer mode. Maybe we could have had a Scarab battle in Halo 5's Warzone mode. I really love this mode, whether it's vanilla Warzone or Warzone Firefight. I think this is one of the best modes added to a Halo game, and it sucks that this wasn't in Infinite, and it probably won't be in whatever comes next for the Halo franchise. I really don't see this game type returning ever. But without getting off topic, maybe that's where a Scarab could have shown up in Halo 5. Either during vanilla Warzone or as a final boss fight in Firefight mode. Even though we do get to see Scarabs in Halo Reach, we never get to actually fight one, so let's talk about the same idea with Halo Reach for a moment. So we were originally supposed to fight a Scarab in Halo Reach. I think it was meant to be during the package, or a mission that would have taken place before the package but after New Alexandria. There was also plans to have us hijack a Scarab, which would have been amazing, but unfortunately that was cut too. So again, if it was completely up to me and we could have the Scarab show up for an actual boss fight as it were, the package definitely seems like the most logical mission for a Scarab to make an appearance in. Maybe we could have fought it during the final part of the mission when we're defending Halsey's lab. Hell, it doesn't even have to be part of the official mission. Maybe a Scarab battle could have been a part of the trophy room Easter egg in that mission. You know, you flip the switches, the elites come charging at you, but then just when you think it's over, before you can actually enter the door, the Scarab shows up. And you have to defeat that before you can actually open the door and get into the tribute room. Maybe we could have had the 2 Scarabs that appear in the Pillar of Autumn be actual fights in order to get past and proceed. That could have been fun. Or if not that, this wouldn't be a traditional fight against a Scarab, but maybe we could have gone up against the 2 Scarabs we see at the end of the mission making their way to the Pillar of Autumn, or possibly another Scarab that just climbs up over the top either from your left or your right as you're in control of the Mat Cannon. I think you can really see how close we were to getting a Scarab battle in Halo Reach. It's clear that Bungie wanted to do it, or at least wanted the Scarab to still be relevant throughout the game. As for ODST, even though we do get to fight it in one mission, I feel like we still should have fought one in the final mission as well. Although, as I say that, I used a Forge mod for the campaign to spawn a Scarab in the last section of the mission, and I'm definitely seeing how there clearly would have been some changes required to make it work. Now let's talk about Halo 3 again. Now with 4 Scarab encounters, I don't think it's necessary for another Scarab encounter to be in this campaign. However, what if there was at least one instance where a Scarab would show up, but it would be an ally Scarab? There's a really cool mod on MCC called Halo 3 Friendly Edition, and what this mod does is that it adds a little bit more friendly Covenant presence throughout the campaign. For example, in the Ark mission, there's a Crash Phantom with a few Covenant enemies that will attack you when you approach them. This mod changes that into a friendly Phantom that has Crash, with friendly grunts that will join you. Hell, you can even have them jump on the turret of your Warthog or Prowler. You can come across a friendly Jackal here and there. The elites have a bit more of a presence throughout the game. You get to drive around in a Spectre. It's a really fun mod. I would highly recommend checking it out. But what if we were able to take it a step further and have a scenario where a Scarab was able to be friendly? If we could go all out in this what if scenario, I would say Halfjaw was able to hijack a Scarab and then made his way to aid us during either the Ark mission or the Covenant mission. If not that, maybe we could have at least briefly see a friendly Scarab during Floodgate. Crazy idea, I know, but a man can dream, right? Hell, maybe they could have made it like the Elephant from Halo 3, a rare vehicle that only appeared in one multiplayer map. Or alternatively, like I mentioned already, it could have been an Easter egg. Flip the switches in the right order and a Scarab will just spawn in, completely drivable, and you can just mess around with it. You know, regardless if it was in Reach or any other Halo game for that matter, I imagine hijacking the Scarab and actually driving it in an FPS Halo game would be similar to the ending of Gears of War 2, where Marcus and Dom hijacks a Brewmark and just use it to plow down a bunch of locusts. Is it overpowered and unbalanced? Absolutely, but is the player going to be having fun while doing it? Hell yeah. Anyway, I think I've rambled on enough about this discussion. I would love to see the Scarab make a grand return in a future Halo title, as either a boss fight in the campaign, or even in some kind of multiplayer mode, or again, dare I say, some kind of mode where we actually get to pilot the damn thing, even if it's just an Easter egg. I'm not saying the Scarab has to be in every Halo game, but the fact that we've gone nearly 20 years without seeing it in an FPS title is heresy. The fact that it didn't show up in Halo Infinite is heresy. The fact that it's been nearly 10 years since the Scarab was relevant in any Halo title is heresy. So I would definitely love it if we could make up for the lack of Scarab love we've had in the Halo games over the years. It's an awesome vehicle. It deserves to be loved and appreciated as just this amazing vehicle to just see in action, and the satisfaction of taking one down, especially on a first playthrough. I miss that. I want it back, and I'm sure I'm not alone in saying that.